Hi, everybody, and um, today is going to be a cautionary tale. I'm going to disclose more about my past and present than usual, but I wanted to do this because it may at least help other INFPs with awareness. Um, our bodies are still physical things, and um, there's only so much punishment that one can put through them. Um, Physical, physiological, psychological punishment. So I'll get right to it. I was 16 and a half when I began my first job. That was the state required minimum age, I think, at the time. And I worked at in a very high stress role. I was a dishwasher at a busy restaurant with, say, 40 plus tables, plus a full bar. And things had to be done as quickly as any assembly line as one could imagine. It's always one step ahead of the steamroller and I would be often the only worker in that part of the restaurant because they were, like most restaurants, running on thin margins. Therefore, learned a certain habit, which was to run on a certain minimum level of stress. You could almost compare it to a steam engine. You get the boiler going to a certain amount of pressure. And when you've got that pressure active, it pushes you into action, quick action to keep up with the things that need to be done. Well, I learned that lesson maybe a little bit too well. Going into college, things were more mellow. But then after that, my first post-college job was in working in publishing. And again, like a restaurant, it's an area that runs on very thin margins with not enough people ever and a lot of pressure to get things done. So it became ingrained to me to live on a pot of coffee a day and keep that stress level at a certain minimum pressure in order to do the work as it was necessary to be done. And I kept those habits now through the past 30, 35 years and working in various different roles in different businesses, different occupations. But it always became sort of a hallmark of my career that I worked in different places where there was a lot of pressure or there was some sort of a crisis that was going on in the business. And I would step into that crisis management and do whatever needed to be done with first with small teams and with larger teams. And all throughout that, it was sort of this odd combination of being outwardly a pretty mellow, laid back person who could deal with things as they come, but at the same time be tightly wound in order to push to get things done. I remember at one time, at one job, someone was saying, "You're like a machine. You don't eat, you don't sleep. All you do is work." And it's like, well, that was the demands of the role. And so I would meet those demands. And I find now, 30, 35 years later, that for the past 10 to 15 years now, this has begun to take a toll on my body with an autoimmune condition, which is exacerbated by lack of routine, lack of sleep, and too much stress. So the person who has built a career out of thriving on stress is now faced with this paradox that the thing that I do best is the thing that I should have never done in the first place, and that the stress is literally making things worse for me and creating or exacerbating medical conditions that are really problematic. So here I am in this dilemma, sorting out that the career that I have is going to kill me. Not necessarily kill me like that outright, but it is unhealthy, yet I have, from the past decades, I have no other model to go by. So, well, here we are. I have no answer for this, but I would say that if you are an INFP, chances are you're fairly sensitive. And if you try to paper over all of those things and put yourself into action through the use of tools like stress, anger, different emotions to try and power your way through the things that need to be done. It works. It works up to a point. It's very effective up to a point, but there is a price to pay. And I am presently in the middle of paying that price. And I am trying to get to a point where I flip back into remission from some of the chronic conditions that I've inherited from decades of stress. And I hope to get better soon. It's nothing too chronic at this point, but it was all exacerbated by the lack of sleep and the push in China, and to the realization that I cannot go on with the presses that I was able to do even 10 or 15 years ago. So I guess in that respect, COVID has really spared me by taking travel off the docket and dialing down some of the highest stress things that I would usually face in my career. So that's all I have. I don't have anything else, just this cautionary tale to say a pot of coffee a day and living on nothing but stress is probably not, there's going to be consequences if you take that route. And you may just want to be very aware of those consequences before dipping into them for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. So wherever you may be, I hope that you're well, and I hope that I will be well again soon as well. It doesn't keep me from doing these daily things, but I will be trying to dial back some of the other things in my life. So with that, bye for now.